You're going to like this, Kyle. I found out I got to look at some merchandise for Hope's stuff. So you're going to like, I'm going to get like 7 days of Hope Watson music t-shirts, and I'm going to wear them like every day.
Oh, okay.
So I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah.
Nice. Got her face on, like a big giant face on the front of the t-shirt.
I can't give away things. I will give you the album title though. I don't care. I so care.
Oh,
what do you think about that?
I like it. I like it. That's interesting.
Okay.
That's interesting.
So welcome to the Watson and Wiltshire podcast. I'm Jay Watson, and this is the ever present and ever lovely and ever wonderful Kyle Wiltshire. Hi, Kyle.
Well, thank you for that. That's a lovely way to introduce me. I don't know that I'm worthy of all that, but sure makes me feel good.
No, man, I got nothing but love for Kyle. It's weird. Like this, we're going to be doing something a little different tonight on the podcast. We're going to be discussing one topic, and it's going to kind of go through the theme.
Yeah.
And I think it's a pretty good tie-in here because since I've known you, whether you've deserved it or not, early on, I've been a giant fan of yours. Like I've been a fan. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about fandom tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no spoiler here, you know who I love musically. So that won't, that's an easy one. But on the Sirius XM, there's that little thing where he's like, "This is Bono. Before I was a singer, before I was a performer, I was a fan." And I was like, that's us. You ever heard him do that one?
I have.
I have. So before we were struggling writers, before we were struggling podcasters, we were fans.
I don't feel like we're struggling at podcasting. Nobody's listening. Nobody's watching.
Well, yeah,
we're not struggling. We're having a great time.
We're killing it. Our podcast is amazing. If only they would find it.
No, man, your reels are doing well. We're going to be just fine. Don't you worry. Let's talk a little bit about. I'm pretty sure I could name all of your teams. Kyle is well documented to be a loyalist, and I think I am as well. And so our teams have been our teams. So I think I can do this. I'll start easy. NFL, I know it's the Saints.
Yes, absolutely.
You grew up in New Orleans for a time.
I did,
and so the Saints have been your people, even like through the wilderness and then into the promised land of Sean Payton and Drew Brees. And now you're back. I don't know if we're making this biblical. It's almost the diaspora right now is happening to the Saints, right?
To the wilderness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me tell you how obviously I lived in New Orleans, but a little bit about my journey to discovering the Saints. It's really interesting. Nobody in my family, my granddad a little bit, but are huge sports fans, like they very casually, love sports or whatever. And in 1987, when I was 9 years old, this was the strike-shortened 1987 season. You can go watch the 2000 movie, The Replacements. That's loosely based on this Keanu time with Keanu Reeves. Yeah, it's it's a really great movie. It's great, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. But it's based on that 87 strike, and so the Saints, up until 1987, so they were started in 1967. So 1987, 20 years, had never had a winning season. Like they'd gone 8-8 a couple times with the Archie Manning, Saints, never had a winning season. And in 1987, we had a coach, Jim Mora, pretty famous for his sound bites. That's his most famous one, but it was probably his first sound bite ever. The Saints were 3-3 at the start of the season. I can't remember where we were in terms of the strike. I think it maybe had already started. And some of the players during the strike weren't playing, and some of them were, and some of them were they called scabs, like guys who just came in off the streets, who were playing. That's the whole point of the Replacements movie. And we were 3-3, and Mora goes in front of the New Orleans media and he goes, "No more coulda, shoulda, woulda." And basically saying, we can't make excuses anymore. And Jay, we rattled off 9 wins in a row. We finished that season 12-3, made the playoffs for the very first time. Now, we had the misfortune of being in the San Francisco 49ers division in the 80s, who had Joe Montana. So we got the wild card. At 12-3, we were the wild card team, and we promptly got destroyed by the Minnesota Vikings. It was 44-10, just annihilated in our first playoff game ever. But it was euphoric. It was like Mardi Gras for 6 months because the Saints made the playoffs. You know,
so NFL, Saints, NBA, forever San Antonio Spurs, I'm guessing.
That's right. Yeah, there was a period in the early 90s living in Memphis at that point where I kind of was a little unfaithful to the Spurs, and I started pulling for the Orlando Magic because of the Penny Hardaway factor.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, San Antonio Spurs have been my NFL or NBA team for a long time.
And can you pronounce their famous player's name properly?
Victor Wembanyama, their new guy.
Wembanyama.
Wemby. Yeah, the alien.
Okay.
Yeah,
7'7" and about 63 pounds, right? Isn't that
7'5"? Yeah,
7'5" and maybe $150. I mean,
163. Maybe. Yeah. They say he put on some weight in the off season to bulk up, be a little bit more, prepared for the beating of the NBA season.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
He's exciting to watch, though. He does things that are pretty incredible.
Okay, and then baseball. This would have been the one I think that would have tripped me up, but you know that I'm a Kyle Wiltshire fan, so I'm going to say Texas Rangers.
Texas Rangers for maybe one more night, defending world champions. Texas Rangers. So how I became a Texas Rangers fan, Jay, I was like, casual baseball fan. One night I come home, I think it was like a Wednesday night, so we're home from church or something. Somebody's like, Nolan Ryan's got a no-hitter in like the 7th inning or something. And all I remember was Nolan Ryan was like 42 or 43 or something, like incredibly old for that time, very young man by our standards.
If you were to put Nolan Ryan next to Tom Brady's picture at 42 or 43.
Yeah.
Tom Brady would be like
the same.
Nolan Ryan will be like, let me tell you something, son.
I'd like to look like that. But anyway, so at like age 43 or something, he throws a no-hitter, and I was just like, that's amazing. So they just became my team. I don't know. There's no real rhyme or reason other than one night a legendary baseball player did something amazing, and from then on they became my team.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. You don't really have because you have you're a fan orphan in a lot of ways, or an originator. You get to kind of pick wherever. It's not necessarily tied to geography.
Yeah, a lot of people, because they know I like the Saints, are like, well, do you like the Pelicans, the NBA team there in New Orleans? I'm like, when I was a kid, they had the Jazz, but they went to Utah, So I was like, no, I kind of was able to pick my own team back then. So, yeah.
And then I'll leave the best for last, college. You are a dyed-in-the-wool UT fan.
That's right.
And is that because just Memphis growing up here?
Yeah, so this is kind of a funny story. When I moved to Memphis in 6th grade, again, I was a big Saints fan. They became like my team. And it was interesting when I moved up to Memphis, it was like nobody really cared about the NFL. They did, but like everyone cared about college football. And I didn't have a team. I didn't have a college team, and it was kind of interesting. There was in Memphis, there's several different fandoms. You got obviously a big UT contingency. You had an Arkansas contingency, you got an Ole Miss contingency, all, right there in that little tri-state area.
The Delta.
And of course, the University of Memphis, University of Memphis is to Memphis as Vanderbilt is to Nashville. It's like a whole lot of fans, but, they're sometimes a little shy about it. Sometimes. So I was watching Tennessee play Alabama, which was like 91 or something. For some reason, I was like, it'd be real easy to pull for whoever wins this game. But I'm going to pull for whoever loses. That's going to be my team because I didn't have one. And it was, like I said, equal split. A lot of Alabama fans at that time as well. Tennessee lost. They became my team. Just how I roll, Jay. Weird.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Did I miss any?
I mean, that's in terms of sports. Yeah. There's other categories of fandom that we could get into. But when it comes to sports, who's my favorite wrestler? Come on.
It would be the Hulkster for sure.
That's right.
I went to a restaurant in Nashville this past week, and I don't know if I told you about this, but it's called Neighbors, and it's in Germantown, part of Nashville.
Yeah,
they had a life-size carbon frozen Han Solo on the wall, which was pretty awesome. But they also had a Hulk Hogan section. They had some of his yellow boots up on the wall, and then they had. Best way I can describe it would be a cape, and it said Thunder Lips on it.
Yeah.
And so, I think you would probably really enjoy walking around. I had the NWO hamburger.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you walk in and you're greeted by Razor Ramon. So it's a photo. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But they got as far as our DRS world goes, there are some pin drawings of Tupac and Biggie on the door as you walk out. So, you should go visit that place and check out the I don't know, the mini version of a Planet Hollywood, I guess. I don't know.
I love it. That's cool.
Yeah.
Have you seen? You used to be the carbon frozen Han Solo. We were passing around some pictures of the horrific Dwayne Wade statue yesterday or day before. Have you seen the one where they put his face on the Han Solo and carbon freeze?
No, that's great. Like this,
so perfect.
Yeah, that's good.
It's really bad. Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, that's
imagine. Your team is honoring you. We're going to make you a statue of you.
Statue. Yeah,
that's what they unveil.
Yeah, it doesn't really look like anybody. Like
No.
It doesn't. It's not that it just doesn't look like him. Like it doesn't look like a human.
It looks like Indiana Jones at the end when they open the Ark of the Covenant and his face starts melting.
Yeah, the Holy Spirit's just burning everybody down.
Oh man.
Yeah, as far as sports though, that's kind of your.
Yeah.
I can name yours.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see if you can name mine.
Whew, man. Obviously, the easy one. We'll start easy. Is the Tennessee Titans?
Yes.
I mean, that's I know that you didn't care anything about them when they were the Oilers, but like I didn't know anyone who, when they came to Nashville, actually, they spent like a season in Memphis or whatever. But even then, like when they came to Nashville, like you were just like a early adopter. Like you were all in. You're like, this is my team. I remember that '99 season when they made the Super Bowl. Like you were all about it. So yeah, you were there right at the start.
Yeah, I loved watching football as a kid. We didn't have, we got the Falcons games, I guess, and we got
probably the Cowboys.
I don't really remember watching a ton of Cowboys. I watched a ton of the Lions. We got a lot of the Detroit. I don't know why, but just we didn't really have a team. There's nothing really close, and so when they finally came to town, I was like, okay, this is who I get to follow. And so early on, I watched a lot of Eagles games, a lot of Randall Cunningham, a lot of Barry Sanders, and it was just more of like who the players were at the time. The Falcons were hot garbage, I think. And so, so that was an easy jump. It was an easy jump in. I went and saw the Tennessee Oilers in Memphis. I got to see a game there at the Liberty Bowl, and it was very, very depressing, Kyle. Like it was not how I imagined an NFL game to be.
Well, here's the reason why is because Memphis tried for ages to get a team. They wanted a team so bad when the Panthers and the Jaguars got franchises in like 94 or something like that. Like Memphis was a finalist. They were in the top 4 or 5 like finalist cities. And when they didn't get a team, they were just devastated. And so here all of a sudden Bud Adams is going to move Titans from Houston, or the Oilers from Houston to Nashville, but Nashville didn't have a stadium ready. So we're going to play a year in Memphis. And Memphis was like, no, we're not having that. We're not, we don't want any part of that. So
forget about it.
Yeah, that was the big reason. So they got to Nashville as quick as they could. I think they played one season in Little Commodore Stadium, which is fine for a college stadium, but it's not, NFL, caliber stadium.
No, not even after they renovate.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I saw a joke about that. I didn't know that they were currently renovating. Apparently there's a big renovation project underway.
Yeah. Whole end zone is useless.
Oh no. That's hilarious.
There was
time for this amazing season too.
Yeah, it was a great thing for that field goal to be tore down, because I think that was coming down anyway in the renovation.
They saved some demo costs there.
I think that kind of tips my hand to the college team.
Oh yeah, well obviously I knew that. I knew the two people I know that love Vandy the most are you and Nate Bargatze. That's it. that's
So my grandfather went to Peabody, which is a school of education at Vanderbilt, and he had season tickets when I was growing up, and so I got to sit on the second row behind the goal, which was actually behind where the players sit, and so I got to be there for a lot of the early '90s great Vanderbilt teams that made runs to the Sweet 16 and all those things. And
you're talking basketball right now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It's not football. When you said great teams, there weren't any great teams in the 90s.
No. No. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
That's when Will Purdue played, and I got to go to Vanderbilt basketball camps. And I got to, meet Will Purdue and get autographs and all that. And Vanderbilt had a really, before, Vanderbilt was really known for their baseball like they are now. Basketball was really the only thing that was, they were the hot thing about. And it was a lot of fun to go to those games. I won a pair of cowboy boots at one of those games. They called my ticket number. And so,
Wow.
yeah, I won a pair of very nice cowboy boots. If you look in my 7th grade Easter picture, you can see those cowboy boots. They're imitation ostrich skin.
Oh,
Yeah.
imitation.
Yeah. Only the finest.
Vandy's got that pretty unique rectangular basketball arena that's really unusual. It's not it's not oval like most. That makes for an interesting. I think that for a lot of years, like 80s and 90s, kind of gave them a really good home court advantage because the benches were right there under the hoops, and the field, not the field, the court was elevated.
Yeah.
Just kind of made for, I think the sight lines were a little different for opposing teams, so just kind of an interesting. I've been to a game or two in there. It's fun. It's a fun environment when they're good. Like any school when they're good, the environment on a college campus gets fun. It is a
rocking place when things are going well, for sure.
I went with my brother-in-law one time, and if Vandy scores over 100, at least this was probably 15 years ago or more even. If Vandy scores over 100, Taco Bell will give anyone a free taco if you bring a ticket stub, or I guess now show evidence that you were at the game. And Vandy was like at 94 with like a minute to left, and I got my whole section to start chanting "Free taco, free taco, free taco!" And sure enough, they hit a couple of baskets right there going down the stretch to get us all free tacos. We went bananas.
And
I didn't go get it. No, I didn't go get it.
Yeah. Again, that's where Taco Bell looks like so philanthropic, yet nobody's cashing those tacos.
Right.
You'd have to remember, you'd have to keep your stub. You'd have to do so many things to make that work.
Right.
That's some genius marketing right there.
For sure.
You're yelling free tacos, and Satco across the street's probably like inundated with people after the game.
Can I get a free taco? No, that's the other place.
Yeah.
Not here.
All right. So Vanderbilt, Titans, what else?
Okay, so this is where it's going to get a little tricky. I know that you were in the 80s and early 90s a big Cincinnati Reds fan. That was your. You loved the Chris Sabo sports specs. I remember that. That was your dude back then. So I don't know how closely you follow them still, or if you follow baseball at all still. But that would be my guess, the Cincinnati Reds.
Very well done. Also, my grandfather, Big Daddy, and Nanu, they watched Reds games every day. Whatever was going on, if the Reds were on, they had cable, and they watched the Cincinnati Reds play. And, in the 70s, Big Red Machine, right? But by the time I came around, they were still watching the games loyally. And my grandmother, Nanu, that's what we called her, I got to name her, by the way. And I was really
grandchild.
Yeah, I was really big into Mork and Mindy, I think, at the time. And so she became Nanu. And that is a lesson for everyone, to not let your grandchildren name you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to be called Nanu for the rest of your existence.
Oh, that's endearing.
Yeah. But I don't really know if this is true or not, but I remember Nanu's favorite player being Paul O'Neill. And I don't know if you remember Paul O'Neill, but he was a outfielder, and he was a handsome hunk of a fella. And so I'm not sure if Nanu was there for the baseball or Paul O'Neill. Don't know.
Man. Well, I know Paul O'Neill eventually made his way to the Yankees. I do remember that.
Yeah.
I do remember Paul O'Neill. I didn't remember what position he played. I remember from the Big Red, not the Big Red Machine, but like the early 90s, they had like Barry Larkin, Eric Davis, longest neck, this huge long neck. Gosh, who else did they have on that great night? Jose Rito
the Nasty
was
Boys.
The Nasty
Charlton,
Boys. Yes.
Randy Myers and Rob Dibble.
Yep. Rex Dibble.
We had second base was Tony Perez, I think. No, that's not right. That's old. I can't remember who played second base.
Yeah, I can't either.
Shortstop was Barry Larkin. Third base, Chris Sabo.
Mm-hmm.
I think the catcher was Dan Wilson, maybe.
I don't remember.
And then we had some really good pitchers, and we had Eric Davis was just a natural swing. Him and watching him and Darryl Strawberry and some of those guys swing in the 90s, it was just a beautiful thing to see. And in 1990, I was in the 8th grade, and I had a bright red satin starter jacket that said Cincinnati across it. And my 8th grade teacher, who I can't think of her name right now, Miss McCandless, she was a Pittsburgh Pirates fan. And so there was a lot of talking going on back and forth, some jawing back and forth. And then the broom came out, and the Cincinnati Reds 1-4.
Yeah.
So much to what is happening in today's world with the Dodgers surprising everybody.
Little sweep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were good Pirates teams too, because they had Bobby Bonilla and Barry Bonds and Sid Bream. I think they had some good players. Okay, so when it comes to basketball, here's my guess here. I don't think you have a team. You are just a fan of the NBA in general. You enjoy the product. You enjoy the league. Maybe you have I know you like LeBron. You may have a player or two that you sort of like. These are my guys, but I don't think you have like a team. Like, this is the one I pull for. Am I right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
I was hopeful to be a Grizzly fan.
Yeah.
I mean, I was even thinking about getting the shoes, man. But like, Ja, we'll see about that one. I would love for there to be a redemption story, but that dude, struggling right now.
He's
prayers.
Struggling. Yeah, he's struggling. Yeah.
Hold some prayers up for Ja.
Prayers up.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm a Gen Xer, so it was Bulls all the way growing up. I had the knee brace like Michael Jordan did, because I had Osgood Slaughters, and so the knees hurt. But yeah, no, I don't really. I like the NBA. I like the playoffs. I like watching the NBA do what it does. I'm not a real big college basketball fan lately, just because Vanderbilt's been so horrible, and it's just not that fun to watch.
Well, you have some legitimacy with the Bulls fandom there, because Will Perdue, that's who he played for a lot of those years. So that's a good. I think I'm kind of specific when it comes to teams. Like legitimacy for cheering. Like a lot of guys our age, they just kind of latched on to the teams that were good. They're like, yeah, I love the Lakers, and I really like the Niners, and whatever. And so I was always like proud of my fandom. I like the weird teams.
Also your choices, ironically, are just super subjective to whatever you wanted. Like, so there's not like there's a legitimacy to that either. I mean, like, you literally picked what you picked the Tennessee Vols over their ability to lose the game.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, if they win, that'd be too easy to pull for winners. Let's make it hard a little bit. Let's struggle a little bit. Some of that came from being a Saints fan for all those years.
No, I can appreciate that for sure.
All right, you want to earn it.
All right, Kyle.
Ooh, yeah.
Let's step it up a bit.
Okay.
I think you came up with a game for us to play tonight.
Yeah, I started thinking, like, you and I have known one another for, 28 years now. And we know one another really well, as made clear by this, game, this sort of intro game. We were 100%, both of us. So I thought, what if we did sort of like a newlywed type, like game?
Okay.
Ask some questions, and these are different questions. You have questions for me, I have questions for you, and why don't we just bounce back and forth? And some of these involve, for me, my questions, I don't know about all yours. Some of these involve sports, some of these involve other areas, but they're all about me. So you said you were a fan of me, I'm a fan of you. Let's see how well we know each other when it comes to...
I've got some ideas, Kyle. Let's sweeten the pot. We're going to call this game 4 questions.
Ooh, yeah, I like it.
4 quarters, 4 questions. So we're going to do 4 questions. We're not going to drag it out forever. You can lay out the game specifics, but let's have a prize, okay?
Ooh.
If one of us wins and the other one loses, then for the next podcast, we get to pick the thing that the other person has to talk about. We get to assign them something to watch for the next podcast, whatever we want.
Wow.
What do you think?
Oh, man. I thought you were going to make me buy some Hope Watson merch, is what I thought you were going to. But, yeah, I love it, man. Let's put some stakes on the line here. Yeah, that sounds
okay.
Sounds good. I have to go back in the Wayback Machine, make you watch something from like the 80s,
I mean, whatever you want. You're already acting like you're going to win, which is great.
Well, no, I'm just saying if I win. Yeah. Okay, so game time. I love it.
I wish my questions were harder now. Like, I'm rethinking my 4 questions.
Well, mine graduate in challenge.
Yeah, as do mine.
Okay. All right. So first quarter, it's when you're feeling things out. So I'm ready when you are.
How do you want to do this? You want to do question, back and forth?
Yeah. I'll ask a question, you answer, and we'll talk about it. And then you ask me a question.
All right. I'm ready.
All
Let
right.
me see if I can come up with a all right, question 1.
Jay, who is my all-time favorite Tennessee Vol?
I mean, it would have to be Peyton Manning.
Ding, 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 ding,
Right?
ding. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Easy, question 1.
Yeah.
Easy question. Do you have a ding, ding, ding? Hey!
Yeah, I don't have a ding.
That's okay.
I need to make it last less. I don't know how to make it last less.
How long is this ovation going on?
I don't know. It's 36 seconds, Kyle.
They were really proud of you answering that question right.
Yeah,
man.
I know they love me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Peyton
All right, you
Manning
ready?
for sure.
Kyle, what's my middle name?
Joseph. John
Joseph.
Joseph Watson.
John Joseph Watson. The kids, they love to sing the song to me in elementary school, and I still get it every once in a while. John Jingle, hi John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith, his name. Yeah. I was named after both of my grandfathers,
Hey.
John Watson and Joseph Rutherford. So there you go.
And so Jay was just so that there's no confusion, right? That
That's
was
correct.
I gotcha.
I originally was a JJ, and then it got shortened to J. And so then my kindergarten teacher, my preschool teacher taught me how to spell it Jay. And then because Miss Patterson said so, that's how it became. So that's what it was.
So you probably have the same problem that my wife has. My wife, her legal name, her Christian name is Joan, but she goes by Joni. And so when we went to get married, they were like, okay, you have 7 aliases. No, not when was it? I can't remember when. At some point, we went to go get some legal documentation. She was like, you have 7 aliases. And they listed them all off. It was variations of Joan and Joni and middle name and all these other things. It was quite funny.
That she was like a secret agent, like when they said that at first?
Thought, yeah, I'm marrying Sydney Bristow here. She's a alias.
Nice.
A good pull there, wasn't it?
That was a great pull. And Jennifer Gardner was lovely in that. A show that was helmed and produced by none other than
J.J. Abrams.
Very good. Kyle.
One of our guys. One of our guys.
So Peyton Manning.
Yeah, back to Peyton. Yeah.
So just simply because he's Peyton Manning, Arch in New Orleans.
Yeah, that was a big part of it. When he was doing his whole recruitment thing, it was the first time that I ever remember. This was like '93. I ever remember like national news about a football player, where they were going to go to school. It happens all the time now, but like back then it was like a big deal. And I remember the press conference when he was going to make his choice. And, you go back and look at it now, and Archie's trying real hard not to just lose it. He's so mad that he didn't choose Ole Miss. But he's supportive. Archie's a good dad, but still, he chose Tennessee. I was like, the best quarterback in the nation is coming to my school, and it was apart from, getting that final national championship, which happened the very next year after he graduated, but it was everything we could have hoped for. It's like you talk about LeBron. Like LeBron is one of the few guys ever who came who came under such huge expectations and delivered. Was like, he's as good as everybody said he was going to be. And the same thing with Peyton. Now, he never beat Florida. Yeah, he didn't win a national championship. But I mean, just the joy that it brought us, to
go from being a prospect to a Hall of Famer, with that much pomp and circumstance, I think is a special kind of person.
Well, here's the other weird thing. Like, until Peyton Manning and later Drew Brees, like, all of my favorite football players were like, in my mind, they weren't really, but in my mind, they were like my dad's age, And for the first time, my favorite football player is my age. Like, he's my peer, So it's like, if I went to UT, we could be in a biology class together or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those weird things. Like, this dude, if we went to elementary school, could have been friends or something. I don't know. It was like it was weird thinking about your favorite player being your age.
How big do you think his forehead was when he was like in the 6th grade? Do you think he was like a bobblehead walking around?
It was just like a 4.5 at that point. It didn't get to full 5 or 6 head like it is now. Yeah. Yeah.
So going back to the name thing, the aliases, I remembered this and I was going to share it, but it is frustrating to be known as one thing, but then your legal name being another. And then, when you go to your doctor's office or whatever, they call you that legal name.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't really know me. And I was kind of lamenting it. My dad was like, I'm pretty sure you just go to the DMV and they'll just put your name down there. You can put like an alias, Jay Watson. You just put it on your license. And I'm like, Dad, you can't do that. And he's like, no, you can do that. They'll do that. They'll put the name and then they'll put the alias right there on there. I'm like, all right. So recently I went and got my license and I'm standing in line and doing the real ID thing. And I go, hey, I have an alias. Can we go ahead and put that on there? And the lady just looked at me like I was insane and just went, no. I went, okay. And I thought to myself, pops.
He got me again.
Yeah, got me again. Got me again. That's what I get for being trusting. All right. Let's go to question number 2. We're 1 for 1.
All right.
You want me to go first this time?
Sure. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Okay. Kyle, where did I go to elementary school?
Oh, I think this is a trick question. Davidson Academy? Bear Rumble.
Everybody do the Bear Rumble.
I didn't know if they would you went to like kindergarten one year at like a different school or something.
I know. We're in second quarter. We're in the second quarter.
Yeah. You're ramping it up there. Yeah. So you were a lifer. You were a start to finish. Like you did the whole thing, the whole enchilada at Davidson Academy.
Yes, the whole enchilada. Kindergarten to 12th grade. In kindergarten, it was known as Madison Christian. But then it changed to Davidson Academy. And so we're going to play Family Feud rules. And, technically you got it. You got the gist of the spirit of it. Is true.
I gotcha. Appreciate the grace there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was named something different.
Yeah. It was Madison Christian.
How about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
All right. What you got for me?
Question 2.
You want a drum roll?
I need a drum roll. Yeah. Jay, what is my favorite U2 album?
I'm going to say Octoon Baby.
Ding, 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 ding.
You are right. You are correct, sir. It could have gone so many different ways. I almost would have said the pop album because you have a lot of affection for the pop album, when a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
And you're a big fan of that. So,
yeah.
But I think Octoon Baby, because I've heard you say many times that it's the sound of the Joshua tree being cut down.
Yeah.
And I think your favorite song, I'll take extra credit. I think it might be Mysterious Ways.
For many, 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 many years, Mysterious Ways was my favorite all-time U2 song.
Yeah.
Yes. It's still a great one. I wouldn't say it's my favorite anymore, but I wouldn't even say at this point it's my favorite on the album anymore. But as you get older, your tastes change.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think currently, right now, and it changes a lot. I think currently my favorite song on the album is Ultraviolet, Light My Way. I don't know why. It just moves me. It moves me.
Okay.
Yeah. Good for you. Good on you for getting the Octoon Baby.
We're to round 3, third
I
quarter.
think
It's your turn. It's going to get a little harder. It's your turn for question.
Jay, listen carefully. What musical instruments can I play? Play is like...
Yeah, I know you can play can I ask this question? Is it more than 2?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I know you can play the drums, and I know you can play the guitar.
I am.
I'm going to say piano.
Ooh. Oh,
no.
You ready?
They're all laughing at me, Kyle. Wow. I got to say, wow.
Did you know that? You had no idea.
I'm not surprised by it because I worked with your sister and she would on occasion play a harmonica, I think, when she at work. I think she would play it. So I don't know why that's a Wiltshire thing, and I don't think I knew that. Can you play anything other than that song?
I could play a few things. That's the one I have the absolute best.
What about Desire?
It's the wrong key. It's the wrong. Harmonicas come in key, so I can't. I would make a butchering of it.
Okay.
But, yeah, I could play a few other things.
All right.
So I'll give you credit for the drums and the guitar. The drums is the thing I'm best at, which I'm still not very good. I'm pretty terrible. But and then guitar, I can just hit a few chords. That's about it. But the harmonica is the fun party trick. Every now and then I'll see a harmonica somewhere. I'm like, can I play that? Like, can you play it? I was like, yeah, and I'll whip out the old Susanna.
That's pretty good. I'm surprised you can't peck anything out on the piano.
I could, but not to any level of proficiency. Yeah.
I can crush Twinkle Twinkle on the piano. I mean, crush it.
I got Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Any piano you find, I can do Twinkle Twinkle. Just letting you know.
Hey, yeah, Mary Had a Little Lamb's all I got there on that one.
All right. So this is my third quarter question. So right now, we're 2-2, and I've missed the third quarter one. So this is your third quarter question.
I'll give you like.
Let's just, because if we don't tie, then
Okay.
Kyle, what was my first concert that I went to?
Oh man, I wish I had the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, would you phone a friend?
I would not. I'm going back to the archives, and I feel like in one of our other podcasts that we did for someone else, I think you said Garth Brooks, Standing Outside the Fire Tour. That's gonna be my guess. Garth Brooks, Standing Outside the Fire.
In 1993, I went to see Garth Brooks in Murfreesboro. I got to see the Standing Outside the Fire Tour, but my very first concert, I was 4 or 5 years old, and I begged because one of the sisters got sick and there was an empty ticket, and I begged to go. And my first concert that I ever went to in Municipal Auditorium was Barry Manilow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Barry Manilow. He writes the songs.
And I got to tell you, when Mandy came on, a bunch of old ladies went nuts. Like a bunch of old ladies went crazy. They politely clapped. And I'm pretty sure I fell asleep after like the fourth song. So,
hey man, now that you say that, I feel like I've heard you tell that story before. That's great, though.
Yeah,
that's great, fantastic.
So we're moving into the fourth quarter, and we both are like
we're 2-2.
If one of us misses it, then big deal. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Who is my favorite Marvel character?
Ooh, okay. Let me talk this through. I know you love Deadpool, but I don't think you love him on a favorite level. I know you love Wolverine because you told me he got emotional when he pulled the yellow cowl over his head in the movie. But I'm going to say Spider-Man. That is my guess.
That was well done.
Yeah.
I mean, you hit all the right notes when you did that. You hit all the right notes. Wolverine and Spider-Man, I thought I might trip you up with Wolverine.
Yeah.
So you did good there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm a little nervous.
Whew. All right.
Actually, I feel like you've already won. Because you got 4.
No, I missed the third one.
Okay.
I didn't get Manilow.
Okay.
So you're going to have to delve into the psychology of Kyle Wiltshire to answer this question. Okay.
I'm already nervous.
But it's 50-50. All right. If the good Lord said, Kyle, I will grant you a wish that one of your 2 favorite teams in football, the New Orleans Saints or the Tennessee Vols, can win a championship. Whichever one you want, I'll make it happen. Win the Super Bowl or the national title. Which one would I pick?
Oh, gosh. It's a 50-50 answer.
Yeah.
I don't know. On one end, you have your Tennessee fans, and a lot of your friends are Tennessee fans. A lot of my friends are Tennessee fans, and so you get to share in that experience. I don't know where your kids fall on fandom. I know that Predators is something that's growing. We didn't talk about hockey. That shows our age
talk about
too.
Hockey. We'd probably both say Predators though, just because we're Nashvillians.
Yeah. I have been to a game, so I guess that's something. But I feel like the Saints is more your team. It's more your, like, if you were to identify, like, if you look on the front of your license plate on your car, it's not a Tennessee Vols thing. It's a New Orleans Saint in glitter. And so, like, I'm going to say the New Orleans Saints.
You are correct, sir. Now, let me caveat this.
Okay.
And I have an idea beyond this, what we should do as a result of the, we tied basically. So in a vacuum, the season hasn't started yet, and I have to answer, and I get a chance to answer that question, and the Lord will do whatever I ask him, I ask him to do. I would say New Orleans Saints. Yeah. However, like if it were like mid-season and like a season like right now where the Vols actually have a chance to do something and the Saints are just like out of it, even though, they could go in a run, make the playoffs, whatever, but still, like, just the way the season has unfolded, like right now, I would say Tennessee Vols. But, first of the season, before training camp or whatever, anything's ever done, yeah, I'd say New Orleans Saints. Even though we won the Super Bowl in 2009, just to win it again, oh man, even still, it's been 15 years. My heart warms when I think about winning the Super Bowl.
I think you were with me for this, but I remember just about every moment of the Titans falling a yard short and winning the Super Bowl.
Inglewood Baptist Church in the gym. We were watching it. Yeah, it was painful because I was pulling hard for the Titans too, man. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. That was hard. You're getting choked up here.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it anymore. So I think maybe since we tied and we both know each other well, yay, we win. Maybe each of us should have to give an assignment.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Okay. So I have to watch something that you want me to watch, and you have to watch something that I want to watch. So we basically, for our next episode, we'll do a film exchange.
Yes.
I love it.
And we'll have some questions for each other.
Yeah.
And we'll make the caveat, you have to have not seen it. And it can be anything. And we'll have a couple weeks to watch it and be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Because you're going to need to start now.
There was a word that you used earlier when you were talking about the Saints, I believe, and it's that word "we."
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's it's an interesting kind of question, relationship that fans have kind of with their team or their people or their bands. For us, the rock stars is one of those stories that we get to write because we love rock and roll heroes. We love these guys that we wrote about. Some of them we don't know as much about,
right?
But some of them we truly, truly love and have appreciated our whole entire lives.
Yeah,
and not even know why.
Yeah.
So that idea of fandom is really, really interesting to me. And why do we go with a we so quickly?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, especially when it comes to sports, it's because you feel so invested. Like even sometimes you even wonder, do I care more than the players? The guys that are on the team? Surely not. But you know what I'm saying? Like even you wonder, like, do I care more than the players? And so you feel like I'm a part of this. Like this is my team, And when it comes to I think sports is one of the only ones that you really kind of use the we pronoun. I think when it comes to I've never felt like I've never said we when I'm talking about you two,
Yeah, but there are people that they devote a good bit of their life just to following these bands from show to show to show.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I could totally see that. And it's weird, you read about them or you listen to podcasts or whatever, and you feel like you know them. Like you feel like, yeah, they're my friends, even though I've never met them before. So, I mean, I could totally see the feeling of like, I'm in the circle. But yeah, that's one thing that's kind of interesting though, when it comes to fans, there's this, this whole thing of gatekeeping, like you're not as big a fan as me because you weren't there, at the October album or whatever, you know what I mean? Like some of that happens in fandom. That can make fandom a little bit toxic as well. I don't really think we want to talk about that so much, but it is kind of interesting.
It is something to talk about. I mean, like there are right now in 2024, there are certain places where if you wear an opposing team's jersey to that place, you get beat up.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, like it's not a friendly world in some ways and some of those things.
Yeah, me and our good friend Justin Phillips in 1999 actually went to Tuscaloosa, Alabama to watch the Tennessee-Alabama game, and we both consciously chose we were going to wear UT stuff, but we weren't going to wear like orange and like bright, so like we both wore like gray, kind of muted, a little smaller tee, but yeah, I got dog cussed pretty by a middle-aged woman sitting next to me when the game was over. She was several sheets to the wind at that point. At that game, I had never seen this done before. The co-eds to my left, the middle-aged woman on my right that dog cussed me, but the co-eds on my left, the way they snuck in their alcohol was in IV bags, like that you would put that you would find in a hospital. Like their alcohol was in IV bags, so they could sit flat in their jackets because it was cold. It was like November or December, I believe. No, it was October. We always play in October. What am I saying? But still, it was cool. It was kind of cool. So they were wearing jackets, and that's how they snuck their stuff in. It's never seen that before. It's kind of crazy.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, but just thinking about fandom though, and kind of how toxic fandom can be. Yeah, for sure. When it gets to that point where it's beyond just, man, I really love this team, I love this band, love this actor, whatever, that there does come that element of you're not as big a fan as I am, so there's this competitive, sort of ugly side of it.
Very much the case in Star Wars, right?
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like in Star Wars, that was going to be one of my questions was, who's my favorite Star Wars character? And then, yeah, I was going to.
I honestly thought about that one too. Let's do it. Let's impromptu.
I have a suspicion that the same character is our favorite character.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm going to guess for you, Han Solo.
Yeah.
Guess for me.
I'm going to say Luke.
Yeah.
Because you said it, you don't think it is.
Yeah.
And mine was Han Solo. I think Luke because you were really upset at episode 9.
7. Oh, 7. Oh. No, 8. 8. Yeah.
Episode 8.
Last Jedi.
You
hurt
were
my
really
feelings,
upset
man.
about that.
Hurt my feelings. Me and Mark
really
Hamill,
upset.
both of us, we were like,
really
we fundamentally agree with every decision you've made here. Look it up. He said it. We don't have to get into that because that is gonna get ugly.
But it's interesting. Like, I mean, you're a fan. Like, it's not just that. It's for you. Star Wars is not just an entertainment thing. It's something you have chosen to. You still go shop for characters on occasion. From what I don't you go look at the releases or whatever
every now and then. Yeah, when my kids were younger, I loved it more than they did. Man, I loved popping into Walmart or Target. Like, my kids would love. They need a new Chewbacca or whatever, But it was more for me than it was for them. Yeah, for sure.
Do your kids love Star Wars like you do?
They enjoy it, but no, they don't have the this is woven into my DNA.
Yeah,
like for me, but what it is about, going back to Luke Skywalker for a second, what it is about the character is that what I wanted, all I wanted from sequels, and this is what Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have given me, is I just wanted to see like prime Luke Skywalker. I wanted to see him as peak form, and it went from, he just defeated Darth Vader. That's the last thing we see of him to he's a bitter old man, and we never got to see anything in between, and it was like, this is not at all what I wanted out of this, so I had to come to grips with that. But now with Mandalorian, and some of these other things, we've got to see him like, peak of his powers. And that's been really fun. That's been really fun.
Yeah. Why do you think, why do we become fans?
I think for me, it's a big part of my personality, and you joked about it at the beginning, my loyalty, but yeah, like when I find the thing that I love, I just latch on. Like this is it. Like I'm monogamous, when it comes to fandom. By and large, like this is my team, this is my movie, this is my actor, this is my whatever, And I think it's just because we can identify with it. It makes us feel a certain way. For Star Wars, for me, thinking about this category of Star Wars, makes me feel a certain way, makes me enjoy my childhood. I think you were alluding to this a second ago, but like during COVID, when we were all sort of like down and stuck in the house, I found my old tub of Star Wars figures from when I was a child. And I just enjoyed them so much, just taking them out and looking at them, kind of wiping them off a little bit because they were kind of sticky and gross from being in a lunchbox for, 30 years or whatever. And I just decided, you know what? I don't care if people think it's weird. I'm gonna start collecting again. So I started buying vintage Star Wars figures on eBay, and I've got the whole set, but the entire set of vintage 1970s and 80s Star Wars figures. I've got all of them but one.
Who are you missing?
Oh, he's called a Yak Face. He's like $600 on eBay. It's ridiculous.
Oh.
Yeah, it's unless someone gifts me one, I'm probably not going to get it. Or unless the Dead Rock Stars, options to a movie, then we'll talk about it. But
Okay.
yeah, what has drawn you to things? I did kind of wonder in terms of our personality. You're obviously more extroverted. You're far more of a people person, and like that's kind of the way my wife is. My wife doesn't have favorites of anything. Like, what's your favorite book of all time? Oh, I don't know. What's your favorite restaurant that you like to go? What's your favorite dish? She's like, I don't know. And I wondered if that was similar for you. I know you do have favorites, but I don't know if that's kind of like for me. I kind of have I have a favorite for everything. You ask me what it is, and I could probably tell you what my favorite is for just about everything. I don't know if that was something that is, more built to my personality. How is that for you?
I think that there are certain things that I'm just kind of like, I don't know, sometimes when you have your favorites, it becomes what you're known for. And so I certainly have some of those things. I mean, at one point in our friendship, you made a J. Watson Pyramid of Power that kind of explained who I was. And, there are things in there like Skittles and,
meat and cheese only.
Yeah, most people know that orange sherbet is like one of my favorite ice creams. That's like a weird kind of thing, So, I mean, I have favorites, but also on the other end of things, I think I'm a little bit more open to, for me, I was thinking about that question, why? I mean, I asked you unsolicited. You didn't know I was going to ask it. And so I had time to think about it while I was listening to your answer as well. But I think for me, I love to watch someone achieve something impressive, significant, different. And, for a team to accomplish something that maybe another team didn't, or be better than all the other teams, like it's a neat thing to see. Freddie Freeman will forever be in some young baseball player fans' minds of our Kirk Gibson. It'll be there, and not as cool as Kirk Gibson, but whatever.
For sure.
But I think there's something about watching people do things. I remember at an early age being amazed by Barry Sanders, and like not understanding how he could do what he did, or Nolan Ryan, 42 throwing a no-hitter. You're like, how is that? I mean, this guy looks like he got out of a wheelchair to go do that. Like, how did that even happen?
Yeah,
he was on a horse, and then he got on a wheelchair, right. and then he went and pitched a no-hitter. But I also think there's something about, it doesn't matter how affluent you are or how dirt poor you are. A lot of times, if you live in a city or a place or a geographic region, everyone is connected by that team.
Yeah.
And so everyone is rooting for a thing at the same time. We experienced this in Nashville a couple of years ago when the Predators went to as far as they did in the Stanley Cup Series.
Yeah.
Like there would be, I don't know, 100,000 people out in the streets, celebrating.
It's amazing.
And so you get that people that were not hockey fans became hockey fans because of how prevalent it was in our community. And so I think there is something about that kind of unifies you as a people. For you, New Orleans is a special place.
Yeah.
You learned a lot of things there. You had kind of some seminal moments. And so the Saints is kind of a connection to that a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of connects you to the place of New Orleans. And so, I think it's a lot of fun to listen to Tennessee fans, complain about Alabama or Florida and vice versa.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot of fun for me to complain about Tennessee fans. It's been one of my favorite things to troll most of my adult life.
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting what being a fan of something will make you do. Typically I am, to myself, reserved. I'm not going to talk to a stranger. I was joking with you guys today about standing in line to early vote, and I wasn't going to talk to anybody else, but I was astonished at how many people were standing there with no headphones, with no phone, just standing there, just staring up into the distance, the 1,000-foot stare or whatever. For a great example is a couple years ago when Bono wrote his book. At the very last minute, I got a ticket to go see his one-man show when he was at the Ryman Auditorium. And I'm not kidding. I bought the ticket at like 6:00. The show started at like 7:30 or 8 or something like that. I mean, it was so last minute. And so I roll in solo by myself. And I was hog heaven. You know, I'm like, I'm here by myself, gonna see Bono. I cannot wait. And yet I made friends with the two guys sitting next to me because we're both U2 fans, and we both got to talking about it. And they were a good, like, 15 years younger than me. They were talking about how their parents loved Ogtune Baby because they were asking, what's your favorite album? And I'm like, Ogtune Baby. They're like, yeah, I think that's my dad's favorite album. And I was like, come on, man. you know? But yeah, I had a great time, and I would not do that in just about any other circumstance, but because I recognize in these other people a mutual appreciation or a mutual like love for something, like I got out of my comfort zone to like talk. And, we didn't exchange numbers or anything, but we had a great time just talking and chatting and get to know one another. It was really cool. It was one of those things that being a fan of something will make you do that's outside of the norm of who you are. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, we're creeping up on filling up our time as far as like our imaginary time table.
That's right.
I'm curious, like, if we were to talk a little bit about some of the people that we got to write about for the Dead Rock Stars, give me like one or two that you either are fans of or became fans of because of the book Dead Rock Stars. If you open up the very what do you call it, the foreword in our book, the very first thing we write, do you remember what we said?
To all those we've lost but still love.
Yeah.
And I love it because that can mean our families, that can mean rock stars, that can mean anything. And that's why we wrote it that way.
It could be someone that left too soon, that you still miss, but you think about and often wonder.
Let me make sure that I quoted it correctly.
I think you hit it.
Did I? To everyone we lost but still love. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good question. Our editor, David Webb, at one point when we were kind of going back and forth on some of the edits, some of the changes, there's Cole. There's a scene when Cole first meets the Dead Rock Stars and he can identify all of them. And he's like, I don't think this is possible. I don't think somebody would just know who all these people are. And I was like, I would have, I would have known who Janis Joplin was or who Jimi Hendrix was, as long as they look similar, to how they did. Yeah. So I honestly, in some ways, I was kind of a fan of all these people. In some ways of appreciation. Now, the depth of fandom, mileage may vary, but I would say the one coming in that I probably had the deepest kind of appreciation for, you might be surprised by this, was Jimi Hendrix. I remember as a child a commercial, and this is probably, they didn't do a lot of this till it started later when they would license like real songs for television commercials. And it was the song Purple Haze. And when I heard that guitar riff, I was like, what is that sound? Like, it was just something like so intriguing. I wanted to hear more. Like, who was this? What is this music? And so that's kind of when my, appreciation for Jimi Hendrix began. So I bought some of his music later on as I got older, listened to some of his stuff, and, found out that many consider him the greatest guitarist of all time. His just the creativity and the genius of his guitar playing, just really stood out to me. So yeah, I would say Jimi Hendrix would be going into someone that I was really excited to be able to write. What about you?
I'm currently doing some research for book 2 just to kind of better understand some people. Janis Joplin and Tupac right now are the two I'm reading about, and just to have a better appreciation of them. I mean, Elvis is the obvious answer, but because of my study, I did a lot of biography reading, and because of my studying, I really, really, really fell in love with the Beatles. And I know that that's a crazy thing because everybody loves the Beatles. Well, I didn't love them. I mean, I thought they were great. They were my dad's favorite band. But I would listen to them and I would think none of these songs make a lick of sense. They're not talking about anything. Why would anybody like this? And as I learned about them and learned kind of what happened and how they did, it's almost they wouldn't say this, but like it is a miracle that all of that talent landed in the same school where they just happened to be around each other. I mean, U2 has a similar story, but I don't think people would compare them to the Beatles as far as the George and the Paul and the Ringo and the John, as far as they're all independent ability to write a great song and just who they became. I think that their story is really unique at the time that they did it too, and the 10,000 hours idea coming from them in Germany. And I just was amazed by Paul, but I kind of fell in love with why John Lennon was the way John Lennon was. He made a lot more sense to me more than any other time after really reading about him and thinking about his personality and thinking about who he is and thinking about how he is and like some of the songs he writes and the choices he made. Like from a distance, when I thought about him, I thought about this, weird guy that married Yoko Ono and just did weirder things as he got older. And like, I just assumed it was drugs that kind of took him down that path. But, just finding out about his mother dying early and all those different little pieces about his life and how, John and Paul wrote together and what they did and how it kind of happened. And, I just, seeing Get Back that Peter Jackson did a couple years ago, made me fall more in love with just how amazing they were, just to walk in the room and be like, hey, listen to this song. What do you think? And, let it be just showing up.
Yeah. He just wrote Get Back, just like in a couple of minutes. Yeah. It was amazing.
And, so for me, John Lennon was a surprise about how much I loved him. And I'm hoping that as we write book 2, I'm going to have more people that I kind of fall in love with a little bit. I'm studying Janis Joplin right now, and it's painful to kind of hear her story. And so it's kind of one of the fun things that we get to do as fans is we get to kind of redeem stories that are sad.
Yeah.
And we get to kind of tell a better version of it. And so I'm excited about that for our story. I don't think we exploit any of them in any way. I think we celebrate them for the most part, and even our antagonists have reasons for what they do. And so hopefully it's an intelligent enough story that people appreciate that, while at the same time being a whole lot of fun. And obviously we're fans of what we've written. And one of the reasons why we're doing this podcast is we want you, the listener, to love our world as much as we do and hopefully tell other people about it. And so, we hope that you become as big of a fan as we are.
And let me just say this, the story's not finished. Just throwing that out there. The story's not finished. So whatever you may think, how we left certain characters, how choices we made about certain things, decisions people made, choices people did, the story's not over. So we'll just leave it at that.
Giving away spoilers.
There's no spoiler there.
Okay.
There's no spoiler there.
All right. This is my favorite part of the podcast here. Kyle, what have you learned tonight?
Man, I learned that your very first concert was Barry Manilow. I love that. That is such a great piece of trivia. Barry Manilow. You fell asleep. You probably fell asleep. I love it.
No, I absolutely did. My mom loves to tell that story too. You begged and begged and begged, and you fell asleep. I had to carry you back to the car.
Well, hey, it's an unused ticket, so absolutely, man. All right, Jay, what did you learn today?
I learned that I got to start looking for yak faces everywhere I go from here on out. That's what I get to do.
It was only sold in like Canada and like the UK or something. It is so rare, so hard to find. And he's ugly. He had like a quarter second of screen time in Return of the Jedi. Yeah, there's no reason for them ever to have made an action figure of it. But yak face. He's the one. Yeah.
All right. Well, Kyle, I've had a lot of fun. Until next time.
It's been awesome.
See you, buddy.
Peace.